The babysitter shows up. You find answers for the things that you had questions to. It takes your dominant focus. So, who are you? And I want to call yourself powerful, infinite energy. I like the word creative consciousness. Who you are is creative. That's all you do all day long. Okay? Then you have to know what you really want. What you really want are your core values, ideals, meaning. Most of you value things that you're not experiencing. My undecided students, because they have such a long list of expectations, I call them perfectionists. Guess what, when I ask what they want, what they tell me? They say, I want to travel. What does travel represent to you? A dream, okay? Freedom, exploration, flexibility. So people who are perfectionists want out of that. See, if we run into that perfectionism, and there's two types. One is if you can't be the best, you may not try anything. And you could be a procrastinator perfectionist that says, the longer I put it off, the better justification I have for not doing a perfect job. Okay? So these undecided students, they all say the same things to me. Here's the bright side about the undecided. Because of playing it safe, because they need protection, okay? They need protection from never being wrong or feeling stupid or inadequate again. They have developed some of the highest sensitivities that I have ever known. They are very intuitive. They're very sensitive. They're very gentle. Service is big to them. They are the humanitarians of the world. So there's a bright side having gone through those difficulties. The bright side is they developed these virtues that are in harmony with what I call creative consciousness. And they become some of the greatest service-oriented people in the world. But they have to get past the fear of making mistakes, or they don't serve. They only do the safe things. So these undecided people are humanitarians, and I find that once we show them the steps of how to create, guess what that does? It removes fear, doesn't it? Think of something that you dread coming up. Okay? Guess what we're going to do? We're going to use the power of faith, the power of thinking, to get you the result you want. How are we going to dominate your consciousness that way? How can we do it? We're going to write a script. Okay? Scripts are my favorite. I have a script every morning when I wake up that says, it is written that today is the greatest day of my life. Why is that? Why is today the greatest day of my life? Because I choose it to be.
Because it's the only day you're alive.
And it's the only day I'm alive. Okay? You choose it to be, no matter what. And once you determine that you are going to choose it to be that way, guess what happens? You start having great days. So when you write a script, we want a script. When a problem comes to me, and the old Karl would say, "Jeez, I hate this stuff. I hate these problems. Let's go get a little bottle of Jack Daniels. Or two." You like that idea, don't you? I thought you would. Okay? The new me says, what's the outcome that I want going through this problem? And then I write a script to it. Did you know if you read that script every day, guess what it does in your subconscious? It plants it there. And that script becomes Scripture. And what does Scripture become? I believe. I love that. Let's sing. Okay? It comes to I believe. And when you believe the most, and you hold your attention on that, doors start opening. Do you know, I was in a meeting one time, and I was in what I would call a difficulty. And I had written a script of how I wanted this meeting to end, and I had thought about it for 3 or 4 weeks. I read it 5-10 times a day. I even make a tape of how this meeting would turn out. And can I tell you that one of the people in the meeting almost read my script verbatim? Crazy. Well, let me help you a little further. Part of the reason I don't have any hair is because I'm an old cancer patient. 2 times. 1984, I'm washing myself in a tub, and I find an extra lump. I go in for a biopsy. Now, I have testicular cancer, and so when you go in for a biopsy, you could wake up with one less testicle. And I did. I didn't think a thing about it. I just figured some people get cancer, some people get heart disease, some people get this, some people get that. I had no idea that my thinking could enhance me being more prone to a disease or dis-at-ease. Call it what you want. The second time, that was in 1985. In 1989, I developed this cough, and I couldn't get rid of it. And after 3 months of being stubborn, I went to the doctor. He couldn't figure out anything, so we take a picture of my lungs, and I had 2 tumors about like that in my left lung. The testicular cancer had moved to my left lung. At that time, I had already met other people that had healed from cancer throughout my life, and a book was given to me called Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Bernie Siegel. Anybody heard of that? Okay. That's when I first learned about visualization, which is what we've been talking about. You have to see the end result. So I read this book, and I'm just innocent enough to believe it. And I write me a script, not even knowing what I was doing, because I wanted, every time I went into the hospital, to direct the chemotherapy to the right places, because you know chemotherapy kills everything. You just hope it doesn't kill you before it kills the cancer. And I mark my words, someday chemotherapy will be called the dark ages of medicine. It's crazy stuff. So I write this script, and I put it in a recorder, and guess what I listen to every single day? This recorder. And when I'm going through the chemotherapy, I have another tape that directs it to that. Well, after my first treatment that they had screwed up on, it looked like the cancer was almost gone. And, of course, they're going to take you through all your treatments, even 4 months of, till it's hard to imagine what I look like today, but I was down to around 115 pounds. And then they thought the cancer was coming back. And they told me, Karl, I don't know how to tell you, but you need to go get all your paperwork in order. You're probably going to be here 8 months to a year. God, that was the happiest day of my life. Why was that the happiest day of my life? I hated going to the negative doctor's office and see all the sick folks around. Now it was totally dependent upon me. And I opened doors that you can't imagine that I opened. And during this whole time, I had this script in this recorder of how I would feel every day, that I could actually visualize the cancer being gone, that I could even see it gone. And the doctor says, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks. I said, no, you won't. I'm not coming back. I think it was 3 years later. I'm a horse person, and we had a new foal, and the mother was protective, and she was giving me signals to stay out of my pen, and my dad, who I listen to too often, says, "Oh, it's okay." And I think the second time he said okay, this mare flew off, kicked me in the back, broke 4 ribs, punctured my left lung. I say this mare kicked the cancer right out of me. So I have to go in for another x-ray, and guess what's not there? Yeah, of course I think I already knew that. So my journey has taken me to places to see that you have more power that you can co-create with the highest power to get the outcome that you really want. And I think that's how you have to live every day. You have to stretch yourself. You have to make decisions. You have to put yourself out there. Playing it safe, I promise you, you will always lose.
You need to explain that just because one changes one's thoughts doesn't mean that the very next day things are going to be hunky-dory.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been trying to say that with the subconscious thoughts, that you have programming in there that's been there for a long, long time. And so these scripts, it's a long process. This is not going to happen overnight. I appreciate you bringing that up, because there's so much of this that has been into your subconscious for so long, and you don't know what the tracks are. But how you see your tracks is where you're to today. If you like your life today, then it's because you have awesome thinking and beliefs. If you don't, you need to review it. You need to look at it. One of the exercises that I did that really helped me was I wrote an autobiography in third person. Third person distanced me from feeling so attached to it all, and it gave me all these different perspectives. Actually, third person is the closest thing I know to telling you that that's your original self. It gives you a much broader perspective. It gives you a detachment. You're not attached to everything. And in doing so, going through all these experiences, I was able to write down all my beliefs. Like, if you're 25 years old and you wrote one line for each year of your life and an event that happened in each year of that life, you're going to be able to come up with the beliefs you have. If mom and dad divorced at age 6, you may have a belief in your subconscious that says, loved ones, leave me. And if you have that concept, guess what? They do. So how do you change it? You flip it to what you want to have happen. Make it your dominant thought. Put it in your script. Make it your scripture. Does that make sense? Sometimes I'm new, or I have a lot of new students that never heard this kind of stuff before. And I talk like it is everyday event in my office. So you have to be patient with yourself. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because so many of us will think, well, I'm going to think positive today, and guess what happens? Yeah, well, or they don't believe it, or they don't practice it long enough. You know, it's taken me, I was 29 years old at the time this went on. I feel like I'm just coming into the fruition of changing all those patterns that I grew up with. And I'm only 32 now. And holding. Yeah, I've been stagnant at that age for some time now. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Any questions any of you have? Yeah.
If you go back to your childhood memories, like when you're saying, oh yeah, my folks broke up when I was 6, so you think back and try and flip that event around and try and think something positive about it,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, would that help?
It helps tremendously. This is what I was trying to say earlier, is all of your difficulties that you went through created certain virtues in you. You know, without that difficulty, you may not be as compassionate as you are. You know, I was listening to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. Actually, Michelle, I watched her the other night, who I thought was just giving an amazing speech. But Barack didn't have a dad around much, and I think his mother died at 53, was it? Anybody watch that? No. And to see, yeah, his dad just wasn't around, and